Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Story Corner. Today I thought I'd take my Tarnished here on a journey around the lands between, and I'd just be delighted if you would accompany us. While we're on our road trip, I've got some lore I'd like to read to you. And by lore, I mean item descriptions. I've handpicked the tingliest text I could find in the game to complement the wonderful vistas I'd like to show you. Now, before we set out, I've just got a few things I wanted to mention. First and foremost, this video will contain major spoilers for Elden Ring. If you've beaten the game, it's safe to say you've been to most of the locations we'll be visiting, but there's always a possibility that you didn't get the chance to see some of these places yet. Personally, one of the biggest joys I've had with this game has been stumbling upon beautiful landscapes, and I would never want to take that away from you. So if you haven't played the game yet and plan to someday, or if you're working through your first playthrough and want to preserve the discovery of the world, I would recommend not watching the video and simply listening to the audio. Furthermore, one could consider some of the text I'm going to read to be spoilers as well, so proceed with caution. Secondly, anyone who knows anything about this game knows that it's a bit of a stretch to call it relaxing material. There are some pretty intense themes at work in this game, but rest assured, I've done my utmost to keep that out of this video. There will be no combat of any kind featured in this video, and I'll be staying away from anything I consider to be upsetting imagery or lore. That being said, everyone has different tastes and sensibilities, so if you think there might be something in this game you'd rather not think about while you relax, consider this to be your content warning. And that's it. That's all I wanted to say. So, without further ado, let us embark on our journey, and I'll tell you about some of the items that you might find in your adventures. Flask of Crimson Tears. A sacred flask modeled after a golden holy chalice that was once graced by a tear of blessing. The one washed up on the gravesite was sure to die until this flask offered its gift of rejuvenation to seek the Elden Ring. Flask of Wondrous Physic. A relic of the physic chemists, priests of the Erd Tree, harnesses the power of crystal tears, which only form after the passage of many moons. Various special effects are bestowed upon the drinker, depending on the specific mixture of crystal tears. Basins are placed at the feet of minor Erd trees throughout the lands between in order to collect their crystallized tears. Boiled prawn. A prime specimen of plump and moist meat. True connoisseurs know how to keep from oversalting. The meat actually looks to have come from a crayfish. Not that it matters, it's delicious all the same. Telescope. Astrology tool used by members of the Carrion royal family. A stolen part of a larger instrument. Allows the viewer to better see faraway things. During the age of the Erd Tree, Aryan astrology withered on the vine. The fate once writ in the night skies has been fettered by the golden order. Albinoric ashes, a strapping duo of cartwheeling spirits who wield ripple swords and spew freezing breath. Both are second-generation Albinorics, with dumpy heads that resemble those of frogs. Lone wolf ashes, spirits of wolves chased from their pack. They later encountered a nameless Tarnished, who welcomed them as hunting companions. The wolf spirits overwhelm enemies with their agility, aiding the summoner in combat. Ancestral follower ashes, a spirit of the horned folk who eschew letters and metalworking. Brawny and versed in distinctive spiritual arts, this particular tribesman wields a heavy bow. Glintstone pebble. The most basic glintstone sorcery of the Academy of Rhea Lucaria. The glintstone serves as a conduit, launching magical projectiles at foes. This is a universal first step on the journey to true knowledge of sorcery. Glintstone arc fires a horizontal arc of magic that spreads outward, granted to sorcerers who depart from the academy to embark on journeys in order to fend off large groups of would-be adversaries. Fools often roam in packs. Crystal barrage fires a volley of glintstone crystal shards, a sorcery of the Crystal Cadre, a group of sorcerers who pursue the wisdom of stone, the secrets locked in the fate cogitation of the Crystallians. Cannon of Hema lobs an explosive magical projectile that flies in an arc. Drawn from the conspectus of Hema, the adjudicator of the academy, this sorcery employs might as a means to quell conflict. Shatter Earth imbues the ferrule of the caster's staff with magic, then thrusts it into the ground to create a magical shockwave. A stone digger sorcery used by the glintstone miners of the Crystal Tunnel. At the academy, use of this sorcery was a stigma that marked out failed scholars. Starlight creates a small floating starlight that illuminates surroundings. Even during the blackest nights, sojourns underground, or imprisonment in jail, the stars are never far from a sorcerer's side. Renala's full moon uses the caster as a vessel to incarnate a full moon, then sends it floating toward foes. The full as a source of courage. Barrier of Gold greatly increases magic damage negation for the caster and nearby allies. This incantation was used by the champions of the Erd Tree in the First and Second Lernian Wars, during which the red-haired Radagon joined the heroes' ranks. Protection of the Erd Tree. Increase damage negations for all affinities except physical, for both the caster and nearby allies. In the beginning, everything was in opposition to the Erd Tree, but through countless victories in war, it became the embodiment of order. Blessing of the Erd Tree grants a greater blessing to the caster and nearby allies, gradually restoring a large amount of HP. The Erd Tree once flourished with abundance, yet it was only for a fleeting moment. Such is the course of all life. Elden Stars. This legendary incantation is the most ancient of those that derive from the Erd Tree. Creates a stream of golden shooting stars that assail the area. It is said that long ago, the Greater Will sent a golden star bearing a beast into the lands between, which would later become the Elden Ring. Order Healing. One of the incantations of the Golden Order fundamentalists, used by hunters of those who live in death. The noble gold mask lamented what had become of the hunters. How easy it is for learning and learnedness to be reduced to the ravings of fanatics. All the good and the great wanted in their foolishness was an absolute evil to contend with. Does such a notion exist in the fundamentals of order? Lightning Spear. Summons a lightning spear and hurls it before the caster. Long ago, Godwyn the Golden defeated the ancient dragon Vortisax and befriended his fallen foe, an event that gave rise to the ancient dragon cult in the capital. Frozen Lightning Spear. Incantation that channels the power of the Dragonkin soldiers. Frozen Lightning Spear. Incantation that channels the power of the Dragonkin soldiers. Creates a spear of ice lightning and stabs it into the ground from above. On impact, the spear will burst into trails of lightning advancing forwards. The Dragonkin were born into the Eternal City, where they knew no true sky nor true lightning. Instead, ice lightning was their weapon. Catch Flame. Incantation originating from a sinister prophecy sparks flame from the caster's hand. The flame of ruin is anathema to the Erd tree, but prophets sometimes glimpse it within the faith all the same. Sadly, when this occurs, their sole reward is banishment. O flame, incantation of the fire monks, momentarily sparks roaring flame from the caster's hand. The giant's flame still smolders upon the distant northern mountain top, and the fire monks are its guardians. Flame of the Fell God. This legendary incantation is one of several that draws directly from the power of the fire giants. Releases a ball of raging fire, said to be inhabited by a fell god. The fireball floats toward enemies and explodes, setting the area ablaze. Arganthy, the chief guardian of the flame, had kept this incantation a well-kept secret until it was stolen by Aiden. The fell god still lurks within the fire giants. Surge, O flame, superior incantation of the fire monks, creates a stream of fire to burn the area before the caster. The giant's flame is the flame of ruin, capable of burning the Erd tree, and so, following the war against the giants, its ruinous blaze was sealed, and guardians were appointed to watch over it. Fire's deadly sin. Incantation originating from a deeply ominous prophecy, sets both the caster and the surrounding area ablaze with raging flames. The caster's body will remain engulfed in flame for a while, burning them and any who draw near. The prophet despaired, looking up at the Erd tree, for soon the kindling would burst into flame, bringing ruin. The burning of the Erd tree is the first cardinal sin. That is not the domain of mere men. Frenzied burst. Incantation originating from the maddening 3 fingers. Releases concentrated blasts of the yellow flame of frenzy from the caster's eyes. In times past, every single person who attempted to control the flame of frenzy succumbed to madness after a desperate internal struggle. This incantation is testament to a meager victory. Misericord. Dagger, favored by military physicians in white. The pointed blade is hard and sharp, making critical hits especially potent. Medicine is mercy, and mercy upon the battlefield is ruthless. Beware the killers clothed as men of compassion. Erd steel dagger. An Erd steel dagger with a grass crest engraved
self-defense in times of peace. Though forged to a high standard, the weapon is difficult to wield. Crystal knife. A knife made by sharpening hard crystal. Signature weapon of glintstone miners. Used as a tool to extract glintstone from broken rock, and as such, a faint magic enwreathes the blade. Cane sword. Beloved sword of an aged knight whose last quest was long behind him, repurposed into a walking stick. The tip is rather worn. Though bent of back, and without the brawn required even to raise the sword aloft, still he wished to meet his end with weapon in hand. Crystal sword. Sword fashioned from pure crystal, a deed impossible for a human. Enwreathed with powerful magic, its attack scales with intelligence. The inscrutable crystallians have but one clear purpose: to safeguard their crystals unto the end. One theory posits that they yearn for the return of their creator, who will carve for them new brethren. Sword of Saint Trina. Silver sword carried by clerics of Saint Trina. Inflicts sleep ailment upon foes. Saint Trina is an enigmatic figure. Some say she is a comely young girl. Others are sure he is a boy. The only certainty is that their appearance was as sudden as their disappearance. Coated sword. Hidden sword once granted to the Tarnished of the Round Table hold by the two fingers. A formless cipher comprises its blade, which deals holy damage no shield can repel. Champions would gather at the Round Table hold in days long past, when the two fingers were masters of oration, their flesh yet full of vigor. Zweihander. Just about the largest sword a mere man is capable of swinging. True to its name, it is designed to be wielded in both hands, but those of mere ordinary strength will still struggle to do so. The long blade is heavy and sharp, sending foes reeling back with its broader strokes, while also capable of a devastating, piercing thrust. Troll's golden sword. Sword given to the lesser giants who fought for the Erd Tree during the war against the giants long ago. Though they have lost their minds, they stay inseparable from their swords that are in sad shape, such that the gold plating has flaked away. Troll Knight's sword. Great sword embedded with a blue glintstone. Weapon of the trolls in service to the royal family of Caria. Called into service when the queen invoked an oath they swore, the trolls are treated as true knights of the swords of an entire clan of warriors. Star Scourge Greatsword. Curved greatswords of black steel, wielded by General Radahn. A pair of weapons decorated with a lion mane motif. Radahn earned considerable renown as the Star Scourge in his youth, and it is said that it was during this time he engraved the gravity crest upon these blades. Roger's Rapier. Piercing sword of superior quality, featuring intricate ornamentation. Signature weapon of the sorcerer Roger. High dexterity is required to wield the blade to its full potential, but mastery is a sight to behold, characterized by a flowing style which excels in successive attacks. Godskin Stitcher. Elegant piercing sword with a celadon-colored blade, wielded by Godskin nobles. The nobles possess skill with the sword unmatched by any lowborn. Despite its size, successive attacks from this weapon are swifter than the eye can follow. Nox Flowing Sword. A grim weapon wielded by swordsmen of the Eternal City. This shotel has a blade as fine as a needle. Forged from the liquid metal of a silver tier, it is thoroughly tempered until hardened. Dismounter. This curved greatsword, wielded by the brawny sellswords of Caden, combines the blade of a scimitar with the heft of a hatchet. A difficult-to-handle weapon that demands much of the wielder's strength and dexterity, but with practice and ability, it can serve as a versatile weapon, even on horseback. Onyx Lord's Greatsword. Greatsword forged from golden-hued meteoric ore. The blade conceals gravity-manipulating magic, a weapon unique to the Onyx Lords, a race of ancients with skin of stone who were said to have risen to life when a meteor struck long ago. Stormhawk Axe. Battle axe designed to resemble a hawk, with its wings comprising the blade. Signature weapon of warriors who strive to remain one with the storm, despite being so far from their place of birth. Their hearts are proud and thereby easily undone. Envoy's Horn. Golden horn of the Oracle Envoys. Profoundly weighty, its blows are sure to be felt. Originally an instrument, but one that cannot be sounded by a mere human. Or perhaps it is too early to sound the call. Giant Crusher. A hammer made from a boulder, used in the war against the giants. One of the heftiest weapons in the entire lands between. After the giants were quelled, and man turned against man in violence, this weapon was all but forgotten. Man has grown feeble in comparison to his forebears. Troll's Hammer. Mining tool of stone digger trolls used to crack bedrock. descended from the giants, and these were supposedly once used as ceremonial smithing tools. In the distant past, smithing was considered divine. Erdtree Avatar Staff. Ceremonial staff depicting the Erdtree in its historic radiance, wielded by the avatars who protect the minor Erdtrees. The avatars, emerging in the wake of the Elden Ring's shattering, were determined to protect the withering Erdtree's offspring. Cross Naginata. Weapon consisting of a three-pronged blade affixed to a long pole. The long central blade closely resembles a katana, a weapon of the lands of reeds, known for its ability to be wielded as a spear while still being capable of performing slashing attacks. Serpent Hunter. Weapon that serves as both greatsword and spear, thought to have been used to hunt an immortal great serpent in the distant past. It manifests a long blade of light when facing such a creature. When their master's heroic aspirations degenerated into mere greed, his men searched for a weapon with which they might